We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and today I've got a little story. A story that basically hit me like a punch to my immune system. This week the weather has been quite stormy, but it's been quite nice. It's not been super cold, like we haven't had frost. Sorry, that was my hand knocking the table. I got very excited there, gesticulating. And it's just been really nice. You know, you wrap up. It is kind of a little bit wet, but it's not bad at all, especially considering that we were in January last week. Obviously, we are now in February. Happy February, everyone. But the thing is that as I went on my walks this week, I saw not one, not two, but 3 different people walking casually down the street. These people weren't carrying anything in their hands. Can't remember if they had a bag on their shoulder, but their hands were free. They weren't carrying a child. They weren't carrying bags. And 2 of them coughed in the open air. They were both male. And a female sneezed. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh. Because it was done in the open air. There was no hand, there was no tissue, no hanky, no sleeve, nothing. And I thought to myself, we've now got self-driving cars. We've got people going into space. I mean, they are billionaires, but still. And AI robots that can be surgeons and therapists. But people can't cover their mouths. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, these people did not even flinch. So it was a real, they coughed, as I said, twice, 2 different people, and the girl that was sneezing, and it was all hands-free, you know? They had the opportunity to cover up, but they chose not to. Because if you're really stuck, you can use your sleeve. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just saying. And their hands were free. They may have had a tissue or a hanky in their pocket. I mean, nobody really uses hankies anymore, and they are sort of unhygienic, but I just thought I would throw that in for completeness. But I don't know, it just really made me think about the absurd contrast that we're living in the most technologically advanced time in human history. And of course, I can text, as I do weekly, and call friends across the planet in a couple of seconds. I can create marvelous images, songs, etc. with AI. But 3 separate humans, 3 that I saw on 3 separate occasions, could not cover their face or their mouth or their nose. So on the one hand, we're designing supercomputers. On the other hand, we're failing at basic courtesies. And I think the thing is, it's not just about hygiene. Please bear in mind there is a super flu going around. But it's about awareness, It's about that silent contract of public space. It's that whole thing. I see you, I respect you, So when I walk out the door, I'm not going to impose myself and my germs upon you. And I think the thing is that when people break that sort of, I don't know, sacred covenant, I shouldn't call it that, but that sort of contract that's written in the air, when people break that, it doesn't just feel careless, it feels indifferent. It feels that they just don't care. And they didn't even have their phones on them, so they weren't distracted. They either didn't think or they just didn't care. And that's the thing. I think that's the crux of it that worries me, because we celebrate each new tech milestone like it's proof that humanity is moving forward. But, I'm starting to wonder that if we're not getting the small things right, are we really progressing? And I have spoken about this previously on multiple episodes, because it's not about the flying cars. It's about shared spaces and paying attention, because I think real progress is not about upgrading the tools. It's about upgrading ourselves. And I think this is where people probably differ. Because for me, the future doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be aware. If they can install empathy into machines, we really need to, if they can do that, we really need to reinstall it in people. Because honestly, I don't know. It is a big deal, coughing, sneezing in public, because, maybe someone is going to end up breathing that in. Because for me, I sort of hold my breath when that happens. When that happened this week, I hold my breath and then I try to move away. But the thing is that we're not just carrying ourselves. We're carrying society. Each of us plays a part in carrying society. And that awareness is really quite vital, I think. And this is why so many people, they think that if they didn't care, and of course I don't know what was happening in each of these people's lives, but if they didn't care or they weren't aware, then, it's kind of like that whole thing about growth, that basically nothing is static. You're either growing or you're decaying. And that's the same thing. Well, that's with us, right? And with our actions. So if somebody's not aware or they didn't care, then that's going to have an effect on, if they're decaying, that's going to have an effect on society, because they are part of society. We are all part of society. So to do our part, we've all got to cover our mouths and our noses when we're sneezing and we're coughing, because we do have that implicit contract with each other. And if we don't, this is where we have problems. And people may think that, it doesn't really matter, and what I do doesn't really is going to affect anyone. But the point is, it does. We know about the butterfly effect. And we also know that people aren't happy. So when they think it doesn't matter or it doesn't affect them, it really does. Because it's all of this, I'm an island, I don't need anyone, I don't, etc. That's giving rise to all the issues in terms of anxiety and isolation. And it's why the world is in the state that it's in, because we're all becoming sort of separated from each other, even in cities where we live together. And this is in London. This happened in London, in a lovely part of London, where I would have expected people to cough and cover their mouths, or sneeze and cover their nose and mouth. I don't know. I find it really worrying, because what is society really becoming? Now, I know that, lovely listeners, that you are wonderful people full of awareness. But if somebody isn't aware or doesn't realize, maybe you could spread the word. Maybe, as a change maker, as a listener to this podcast, you could let somebody know that they are carrying a contract of society or contract for society. We all are. And we have a bigger contract with the world. But, it's like everything, like when we speak about habits and chunking things down. So we have this contract with humanity in the world, but it really starts with us and our family and our community. So when we are out and about, we do have a contract within that community space. And that contract for community space contributes to our well-being. And I feel that that's one vital thing that's disappearing, essentially. So I know that my listeners are wonderful people. So until that next episode, let's all create that connection so that people feel it. And when we're better people, we make a better community, we make a society. So until then, let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.